Alright, so welcome to this Iron Man tutorial, and yeah, I will try to show you a little bit something how we can create those shaders inside of Octane. I personally think there is not really much to it. Of course, you have a little bit of dirt going on and you have some scratches on the suit and so on and so on. But basically, this is, it's Iron Man, so it should be something like iron, the material itself, or something like metal. So I downloaded this Iron Man model somewhere from the internet, just simply search for, I think here on TF3DM. So it's not the best model in the world, I guess, but it's absolutely fine for this tutorial. So let's just simply go Octane, Live Viewer, open this up. Make sure this is set here to path tracing, and let's also, okay, Octane is not responding anymore. Why? Maybe it just needs to activate once again. I'm not sure if this is really the problem, to be honest. No, seems like Octane is completely quitting on me, which is awesome. Okay. Thanks for that, Octane. I have no clue why. So let's start again. And let's load this OBJ. Okay. And there were also some null objects that I did delete. Let's delete all the materials down here. Let's go. Let's delete all those little rigging things that also are getting imported as geometry, which I think is kind of funny. Okay, alright, this should be it. And let's also add here subdivision surface. Alright, subdivision renderer, let's maybe switch this down to 2. And let's get the Octane Live Viewer. Okay, now it needs to activate again. I don't know, it never took so long for Octane to activate. I think this is kind of funny that with the newer version it takes so long. Let's set this here to path tracing and let's create an HDRI environment. And we can use probably, you can use any HDRI that you like. I will just simply take this old industry hall, which used in a lot of my tutorials, also my free tutorials on VMO, because I think this is a pretty good preview HDRI for a lot of stuff that I'm doing. Okay, alright. So let's see what we get. Still not loading. Probably has a little bit too much geometry to load right now. No, okay, here we go. So let's make the HDRI maybe a little bit brighter. I think it's a little bit too dark right now. Maybe something like that. Yeah. I would also love to have the arms here down, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just simply work on this Iron Man like this. Okay, perfect. So what we need to do is, we just simply need to have a reference image, of course. This will also help, or always help to create this Iron Man. So let's just create first of all this red iron shader, I would say. So let's try this. I will just try to pick this color right here from this picture. So let me bring up the picture again. And let me click here on color, on some kind of color. Maybe it is too dark. Maybe something like that here. Also too dark. Yeah, maybe something like that. This might be looking good. So in the RGB, those values. I should have loaded this in the... Let me switch this here to glossy. I should have loaded this here in the specular, sorry. So let me try this once again. Oops, this was not intended. Yeah, maybe something like this. Okay, so this value is in the RGB. The diffuse we turn to completely black. And the index we set here to something like 8, I would say. And let's drop this here onto our Iron Man, where we need it. Probably somewhere around here. And let's see if something changes here. Oh, I think I have to delete all those unused things, otherwise this won't work on my model. Okay. So let's try to load this once again here. And let me also get down here a little bit with the subdivisions, because otherwise Octane will take ages to load this. Okay, still not seeing anything here. Let me drop this once again. Okay, it's now the exact same thing, which is kind of funny, I think. But I'm still not seeing any metal. Why is that? I have no clue. Let me check the geometry. Display, grout shading lines, no. Which object is that? Okay, it seems to be that the texture gets applied to some kind of small object, which I think is kind of funny, and I'm also not able to select here anything. Let's maybe try it with the Octane viewer. Maybe this is working. Maybe not. Okay, now this complete thing is full with this one shader, which I also don't like, of course. Maybe let me get this complete thing here out of the null object, and let me get rid of the subdivision surface. This is kind of weird. Also, we don't have any UV tags here. Most of the objects. Okay, maybe now it's easier to select something. Yeah, okay. So now we can drop this here. And also I think the shoulders are the same color, right? Yes. Some parts of the helmet. Okay, this down part here is red. The other one gets the gold color. Yes. Okay, so let's create a gold shader as well. Or first of all, let's bring down here a little bit the roughness. So this already starts a little bit to look alike, maybe a little bit more glossy, so not so much roughness, maybe something like that. Yep, let's duplicate this, control, drag and drop, and let's give this just simply a different color here in the specular. More a little bit of a golden thing, something like that maybe. So in the RGB, those values, and let's drop this onto the helmet. I think I have to close this first of all, and then let's drop it onto the helmet. And here on the side, I'm not sure if this is red. Yeah, this is red. Okay, drop this here, and then the mouse, is that red again? No, this is also golden. Okay, so let's drop it like this. Okay, so this is what we have now. So we have a little bit of gold going on, we have a little bit of red going on, and let me texture the rest here a little bit more, so we can see this all a little bit better. Maybe here the shoulders like this. I'm not sure if that is right, to be honest. I mean, we can also be here a little bit creative and make this up on our own a little bit more. Maybe. Let's make this red here as well. Let's maybe make this golden and this golden. And I think this should be enough for this tutorial. Okay, so we have this here right now. So this is our basic color. Of course, we could make some color corrections later on in post-work. So if the gold doesn't fit 100% yet, which it does, so it's not perfect yet, we could just color correct this later on in Photoshop or whatever we are using. I mean, let me try to pick this color here a little bit more accurate in the gold. Yeah, maybe something like that. This might be fit a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, so what we also need to make this look a little bit more realistic, of course, because right now it doesn't really look too realistic. We can add some scratches. So what we need to do is we need to create a silver material so that some silver is shining through where this metal is scratched off. So let's just simply go specular and we go white here. Why is it still golden? Okay, my fault. So we have now some kind of silver, and what we can use now is we just simply create a mix material, shader Octane mix material, and let's drop in here a material second, the Octane material, the red one, and then in the first slot the silver one. Then we can go texture, and we don't want to have a float texture, we want to load here an image texture. And let's search for some kind of scratch map on the internet or the scratch map that I'm using here. So texture source here, scratches.jpg. I'm using those most of the time. And then we should already start to see the silver through. Wherever this map is black, we should see some kind of silver. And wherever this map is white, we should start to see the red again. So let me just drop the mix material now on here instead of the red material. Also here on the helmet on the side. And also down here maybe. So as you can see, we need to flip this map, because right now it's exactly the other way around. So let's just simply click here on invert. And as you can see, also the mapping method is not perfect. So let me select this mix material, select materials of active objects. So this will select the material everywhere where it's used. I think. Select texture tags object, sorry. And now we just simply change here the mapping method from spherical to cubic or something like that. This is way too big, so let's make this smaller. It's maybe something like, I don't know. Let's go down here as well. Maybe, okay, now it's way too small. Yeah, this might be good. I mean, this is now way too much scratches for me. So this means we need to correct this map here a little bit more. We can just simply give this image texture here a filter. So, or color correction. So we're getting not so much white spots right now, so we don't have so much silver shining through. So let's just simply play here with the gamma or with the contrast. So like this, and as you can see now, we're getting rid of a lot of the scratches here. Also play with the contrast a little bit more. And then we can still try to make this smaller. Of course, a UV unwrap would here always be better. But for this tutorial, we can just simply do it like that, so you can see. So we can see the basics how we could do it. So let's make this smaller here as well, and smaller here as well. So yeah, as you can see now, we're getting a lot of repetitions here, which is not so good. So we need to make this a little bit bigger. Best would be that you paint the scratches yourself inside of Photoshop when you have this model UV unwrapped. I mean, this is probably how all the Hollywood studios are doing it. So you're getting a little bit more of an accurate feeling where the scratches should be, and so on and so on. So yeah, this is the next step that we could do, adding those scratches, like I said. Let's make this a little bit smaller. It looks really way too big. Yeah, maybe like this. And what we also need to do to make this look a little bit more realistic is that, let me change this HDRI also a little bit, that the metal looks absolutely perfect right now. So even though we have now some scratches and it looks a little bit dirty, overall the rest looks a little bit kind of shiny. Also the red material where it's applied, it has no imperfections. So we need a little bit of imperfection. So what we could do is just simply jump into a red material. Doesn't matter if you use the red or the golden one. I'm just simply showing this off on the red one now. In the roughness, we can just simply load a map. So Cinema 4D Octane image texture. And then load here some kind of dirt map. Maybe here metal glossiness new one. This map. And then everything where it's white, it should have a value of, so it should be completely glossy, and everything in between gray and black, it should have less glossiness. So as you can see, we lost a lot of glossiness here, even too much for my taste right now. So to control this map a little bit more, we could just simply go Cinema 4D Octane mix texture. Copy this here, copy shader, texture, load this here over here, and then here we're adding two float textures. So we can control the black and white values of this map. So, and let's say here I want to have it full reflective. Okay, the other way around. Everywhere where we don't have, everywhere where it's white, this map, I want to have it full reflective. Or not full, let's maybe say something like 0.06. And everywhere where it looks kind of touched, or where we have the dirt, I want to have it something like 0.2 or 0.25. And this way we're getting a little bit of a difference in the reflection, really depending on where the map is applied. So right now, overall, it doesn't look so glossy anymore. I will show you this. Let me just simply copy this here. And let me bring this here over to the golden one. So look at this here. Right now, it's really completely rough. Everywhere the same value, so 0.08. But as soon as we're adding this method, you can see, wait a second, we need to change the mapping method here as well to cubic. and make this here maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe go down to, I don't know, 20 and 20. Like I said, with an UV unwrap, you would be better off. But as you can see now, everywhere where this thing is touched, we're getting a little bit less glossiness. Of course, this is like how it's working in the real world. So if you're touching maybe a glass of water, you just simply touch the glass, and where you have it touched, you probably leave a little bit of sweat or whatever is coming off from your fingers on the glass. And on those spots, or some fingerprints, and on those spots, the glass will not be so that reflective anymore. Or the same with gold. So if you have some gold lying around, I mean, I don't, to be honest, but if you have some gold bars lying around in your living room, or I don't know, and you touch it, you will see that the glossiness or the reflectivity is not so high on those spots anymore. But on those spots where it's still clean, of course, you have more reflectivity of the material. And this is exactly what we're trying to do here with this roughness trick. So all you have to do is just simply to UV unwrap this model maybe, and then play with those two simple methods. Use a scratch map, maybe paint the scratches on yourself, work a little bit on the color. This is basically what you have to do. And then also work a little bit with this roughness map as well. And yeah, just simply bring everything in place. And I think this is basically it. So you have to add some scratches. You make your basic metal material, you find the right color, then you add a little bit of a roughness map, adjust the roughness map. So right now I would adjust the roughness map a little bit more, because I don't like the alignment of the map right now. I think it's a little bit too much and a little bit too small. So you just have to play with all the values that I showed you. And it's not even more. It's not really more. So, I mean, here you have even a little bit of black dirt going on here on the gold. You could just simply make this with an overlay. So let's just simply create, I don't know, a shader, ViroBridge, Cinema Octane material. Let's just simply make it some kind of black here in the diffuse, 5% black, or maybe even not so black, maybe something like that. And let's load here in the alpha, the opacity. Let's load here the scratch map again. Let's just simply use the scratch map for this. And let's maybe invert this. I'm not sure. I think I need to load this in an image texture, otherwise I'm not able to invert this here. Invert this map, okay, like this. And then we can just simply create a new mix material. And let's maybe take the golden one. And let's bring in here this map. And as texture, I also want to use here the scratch map that I just used. Okay. And let me tick here on invert. And then we should get some black scratches here on the gold material as well. And let's check this out here in the live viewer, if you already can see that. No, we would need to drop this here in the helmet first of all, of course, so we can see that. Okay, now we need to adjust this again. We need to bring this to cubic, or just simply let me overwrite the first one. Let me delete this one, then we have the same mapping method. Or we don't. Okay. Right now this looks kind of weird. Let's maybe reload this here. Should not look like this. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, I think I did drop this onto the wrong model. Yes, I did. Okay, so let's drop it here, and let's check it now. And as you can see, now we're having some little bit of roughness. We have a little bit of black scratches going on. Like here, it looks it looks a little bit dirty. This is now maybe too much of this black thing. So I would get rid here maybe a little bit more of this map. Let's maybe make it a little bit more grayish. Something like this. Okay, now maybe a little bit darker. Let's maybe take a little bit away from the opacity. No, that's not really doing it. I mean, I think we don't even need to load here the opacity map. We only need the map here in the mix material. And then we just simply give it here another color correction. play around with the gamma and the contrast. Let's play with the gamma, so we don't have so much black scratches. And then we could even add here some silver scratches as well on this gold material. So let's just create a new mix material. So we have some black spots going on. I mean, you don't have to use this map. You can use every map, so it looks a little bit more familiar to this, like here. So just a little bit muddy, a little bit dirty, a little bit touched. So let's maybe take this metal glossiness map here. This might give us more the look that we are after. So as you can see now, it looks a little bit more like dirt that was flying on the helmet. And now let's say we also want to have so we want to have the roughness map going on so that the glossiness is not everywhere the same. We want to have a little bit of dirt, and we also want to have some scratches going on so that also some silver is shining through. So we can just simply create a new mix material. And then here we are loading the mix material we just created with all that we have here right now. And then we're adding the silver, and then we're loading here our scratch map. And let me load this here in an image texture, so I have a little bit more control over this. So we're combining all those techniques now into one mix material. And let me click here on invert. And then we can drop this here on this thing, the new mix material that we created, and then we should have a combination of all those methods. So we have now some silver shining through, some silver scratches, we have some black dirt going on, and we have some difference in the glossiness, and so on and so on. And this is where it really starts, that the material gets a little bit of realistic. And to the silver thing, I would also add here a little bit of bump. So let's just simply, let me look this up. You can also use a displacement here, but in the silver we can just simply load as a bump map. Here the scratches again. And then as you can see, we're also getting a little bit of bump, so it doesn't look completely flat. This is maybe too much. So let's go down here with the bump a little bit, maybe something like this. And then really starting to getting a little bit of a realistic feeling here. And this is exactly what you need to do. So you just simply have to add a little bit of dirt, a little bit of scratches, a little bit of roughness difference, and that's basically it. And you just simply have to find the right mapping method, or just simply paint it in Photoshop or in Mari, or whatever you are using, maybe Substance Painter, what do I know. And then you can really make this look really, really great, because then you have more control where those scratches should be and how they are aligned, and not just simply making it like me with this cubic mapping method, which is probably not good if you really want to have a realistic Iron Man model. But this is basically how you can set this up and how you can make a realistic model, and or a realistic shader, a realistic Iron Man shader. So I really, really hope this was kind of helpful. And so yeah, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask me in the forum, and I will try to answer as quick as I can. So have a nice day. Thanks for listening, and bye bye.